All right, guys, so today we're talking about the big lie, right? We're talking about the big lie. And I'm not talking about the mainstream liberal media's big lie, or put it this way, I mean, it is that big lie, but not the big lie that they've been talking about for the past year. I'm talking about the big lie that they was talking about before Trump was out of office, right? And that big lie is RussiaGate, right? The big lie of RussiaGate. And my boy, John Durham, who was appointed by Attorney General William Barr back in 2019 to investigate the origins of the Russia investigation, has made an arrest, right? He's made an arrest. Has come to find out one of the analysts who gave information to Mr. Christopher Steele was lying. And Mr. Christopher Steele was responsible for the Steele Dossier, the document that alleges that Trump was getting golden showers from Russian prostitutes and that he was some type of Manchurian candidate for Russia, right? He was a puppet for Putin. He was working on the behalf of Russia, right? Yeah, it sounds so silly saying it because it was ridiculous from the start, right? And despite how ridiculous it was, the mainstream media treated this document as it was holy scripture, right? They used this as evidence to say that, hey, you know what? Yes, Trump is a Manchurian candidate, right? He's working on behalf of Putin, even though it is obviously was Clinton-funded opposition research. That's what it was. But I want you guys to really understand what's going on here, as I'm going to get into the media embarrassment. But first, I want you to watch this clip of Shepard Smith explaining the arrest that John Durham made so you guys can get more details about what's going on. Take a look.
Special Counsel John Durham's probe of the Russia investigation has netted another arrest. Igor Danchenko is accused of lying to the FBI, and he's facing felony charges. He's a researcher who was a key source of salacious rumors and claims about Donald Trump in the infamous Steele Dossier. That dossier helped fuel the FBI's investigation into suspected ties between the Trump campaign and Russia. This video of Danchenko leaving the federal courthouse earlier this evening after he made his first appearance before a judge. In 2019, the Trump Justice Department launched the Durham probe to look into the origins of the Russia investigation. The Biden administration allowed the investigation to continue after it took over.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, this guy lied, right, to the FBI. And it's a big deal because the FBI used this man's word to essentially open up an investigation into the Trump campaign, aka the FISA warrant, which they ended up investigating like Michael Carter Page, somebody that was associated with the campaign. So essentially, the government used resources to investigate something based off lies, right? And that's the big issue here, right? Just so that you guys understand it in the most simple terms possible, right? Now, again, this has created a huge embarrassment for the liberal media that we're going to get into, but also for the Democrats as well, as they were complicit in pushing the RussiaGate conspiracy that, again, is based off lies. And one of the number one RussiaGate pushers in Congress is no other than Trump-hating fool Adam Schiff, who continuously pushed this dossier and the RussiaGate lies, knowing that it was bunk. And today, he went on The View and got absolutely embarrassed by Meghan McCain's replacement, Morgan Ortagus. Take a look.
You've been really prolific over the past few years being the head of the Intel Committee, and you defended, promoted, you even read into the congressional record the Steele Dossier. And we know last week the main source of the dossier was indicted by the FBI for lying about most of the key claims in that dossier. Do you have any reflections on your role in promoting this to the American people?
Well, first of all, whoever lied to the FBI or lied to Christopher Steele should be prosecuted, and they are. And unlike in the Trump administration, if they're convicted, they should go to jail, not be pardoned. So Donald Trump pardoned Roger Stone for lying. He pardoned Michael Flynn for lying. If people lied to the FBI, they should go to jail. But at the beginning of the Russia investigation, I said that any allegations should be investigated. We couldn't have known, for example, people were lying to Christopher Steele. So it was proper to investigate them. And let's not forget what we learned in that investigation. We learned that the Trump campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, was giving internal polling data, campaign polling data, to Russian intelligence while Russian intelligence was helping the Trump
And
campaign.
to be clear, he was fired halfway through the campaign.
Well, he may have been fired,
Yeah.
but the effort to get Russian help continued, and even beyond the effort to get Russian help,
But you
the
may have
president
helped
also
spread Russian
sought to get.
disinformation yourself for years by promoting this. I think that's what Republicans and what people who entrusted you as the Intel Committee chair are so confused about your culpability in all of this.
Well, I completely disagree with your premise. It's one thing to say allegations should be investigated, and they were. It's another to say that we should have foreseen in advance that some people were lying to Christopher Steele, which is impossible, of course, to do. But let's not use that as a smokescreen to somehow shield Donald Trump's culpability for inviting Russia to help him in the election, which they did, for trying to coerce Ukraine into helping him in the next election, which he did, into inciting an insurrection, which he did. None of that is undercut. None of that serious misconduct is in any way diminished by the fact that people lied to Christopher Steele.
No, I think just your credibility is.
Got him! Got him!
Well, I think the credibility of your question is in doubt.
All right, guys. So as you see there, as always, when these guys get caught, right, in their lies, right, when they get caught, the first thing they do is that they deflect to, well, Trump incited an insurrection. Trump, he pardoned Roger Stone and Michael Flynn. Trump, he colluded with Russia, and Trump, he tried to get help in the election from Ukraine. Okay, well, but what about you though, bro? That's what the conversation's about. The conversation is not about Trump. He tries to act like him being the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and him knowing that this was lies and then promoting this Clinton disinformation, because that's what it really is. And he knows that. But yet still, he continued to try to discredit information that basically did not support the Russia collusion claims. For example, the Nunes memo, which detailed the dossier's origins and the lack of evidence. This man basically tried to discredit that and tried to say it was inaccurate. Take a look.
Congressman Schiff, thank you very much for joining us. You are one of the few people who's seen all of the classified information that underlies this memo. But what I want to ask you is criticism that essentially what we have here is FBI officials who relied on inadequate information, on what some people are calling circular news and rumors to put this request for surveillance together.
Yeah, that's just not accurate. And if you could read the entire FISA court application, you would see the body of evidence that they put before the FISA court. There are a number of things that are directly misleading in the Republican memo, and I think you alluded to one of them. There's a suggestion, for example, that a Yahoo News article was used to corroborate Steele when Steele was the source of the article. That's not at all how the article was used in the application.
So yeah, and then after years of delay, Schiff was forced to release transcripts of interviews by the House Intelligence Committee into the whole Russia meddling thing. And we learned, right, from the director of the National Intelligence, former Obama Attorney General, former Deputy Attorney General, and the FBI director, among a bunch of others, that all told his committee that there was no direct evidence of any type of criminal conspiracy. And this man knew that, but yet continued to go out here and push these unsubstantiated fake news claims. So fast forward to today, he is now acting like, well, talking about this is a smokescreen from talking about Trump, because Trump apparently is the most evil man on earth, and any conversation that's not revolved around Trump is a smokescreen, right? That's how these Democrats operate. When they get caught on their BS, right, pushing disinformation, right, which they, swear they don't do. They swear they don't do it. They deflect the, well, what about Trump? What about Trump? What he do? But I'm like, it kills me, man. It really does. Bro, all you gotta do is just own up to it and say, hey, look, yeah, the FBI conducted an investigation based off claims that were bunk. And hey, it is what it is. And at the very least, I mean, damn, stop trying to double and triple down on the whole Russia thing. Again, we all know it's fake, but yet he still is trying to push it with no evidence whatsoever. They have nothing. The Steele Dossier is bunk, right? We already talked about that. The Mueller report didn't find no direct evidence of any type of collusion but directly between Trump and Russia, right? Everything you guys have looked into, everything that you have has found absolutely nothing. But yeah, you still want to try to hold on to this instead of just owning up to the fact that you guys was pushing misinformation / disinformation. And the mainstream liberal media needs to own up to it too, because let's not forget their role that they played in pushing this disinformation. Take a look.
Parts of the now infamous dossier on Trump have proven to be true.
I know the history of the dossier, but it hasn't been discredited. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been corroborated. Much of the dossier has been corroborated.
This discredited dossier,
it
which
hasn't
was
been
paid
discredited.
For,
Your intel community has corroborated all of the details in there. The meeting.
Some of the substantive content of the dossier, we were able to corroborate in our intelligence community assessment, which from other sources, in which we had very high confidence level.
We know that with the FISA application, the relevant parts of Christopher Steele's dossier were corroborated.
Say that if the application included information from the dossier, it would only be after the FBI had, in fact, corroborated information through its own investigation.
We also know that as time goes on, more and more parts of the Steele dossier get corroborated.
So when the president just refers to it as fake dossier, that is false?
I don't think that is the accurate characterization for the entirety of the dossier.
To be clear, investigators have corroborated part of the dossier.
The dossier has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
U.S. investigators have corroborated some of the allegations in that dossier. Although
we do know that parts of it have been corroborated.
It's not been corroborated, but it hasn't been disproven either.
Is there anything in the dossier that has been disproven?
No.
But not one thing has been disproven. No major thing from the dossier has been conclusively disproven.
To date, none of it has been disproven, and whole big parts of it are holding up.
The dossier holds up well. None of it has been disproven.
All of the allegations in it, I don't know that anything has been disproven.
It's a fact that none of it, not one word, has been disproven. In fact, a lot of it turned out to be right on the money.
Former high-ranking intelligence officials have told us on the record that there is nothing in the Steele dossier that they know to have been disproven.
Much of the dossier has been corroborated. Do you not accept that
I don't agree with that, Alice.
This is our reporting, and this is what crime-fighting agencies have said.
Oh man, boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, boy, oh boy. The mainstream media takes yet another L on this one. And guys, I just, looking back at it, man, the mainstream media cannot tell me anything about a big lie, right? They can't tell me nothing about a big lie. Consider how they pushed a big lie for 4 years straight, right? A big lie that was funded by the Clintons. I mean, just straight up opposition research they pushed as facts to try to support claims that Trump colluded with Russia, right? Again, to me, man, this right here, again, the credibility of the mainstream media is just gone. It's just gone, right? And when these people come up here and then they're questioning about it and they continue to try to double down on it, and then they also try to deflect and say, well, Trump's a bad guy. I mean, it just goes to show you how much they really don't care about the lies that they spread. They really don't care about this concept of misinformation / disinformation. They're 100% cool with it as long as they're spreading it, right? As long as they're spreading it, they are 100% cool with it, okay? This is basically the end of the whole Russia thing, right? I mean, if anybody's believing that this Russia collusion hoax or whatever up at this point, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I really don't tell you. You really drinking that Democrat Kool-Aid. You are guzzling it, right? You might drown in it at this point if you truly still believe this Russia collusion stuff. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.